Welcome back, everyone. I'm Remy. He's Evan. He's Nick. And this is Power Sports.
It started at the beginning when I started a series called MLB Recap. So basically I recapped the MLB, and it was based off a YouTuber I watched. And then I asked Remy if he wanted to join me. And then we talked about doing more sports.
So we were thinking about doing an MLB recap, and then we wanted to do more sports. But then our first idea was to type it all out and write it and then post it on Kid Blog. But then we kind of rethought about that, and it would be too many words and too long. So, and then we had the idea of doing talking and doing a podcast about it. So I think that's kind of where it started on what we were going to write it, and then we turned it into us talking and then a podcast.
So then those two started with the podcast and pulled in their tech guy, Parker. So it was Nick and Remy. Then they pulled in Parker. And then that was back in November. And I think, as they said, they tried it. We were all remote. And so they had all boys would log on. One of them would hold their phone up and they would record this podcast.
So we record every Wednesday, and then it gets posted on Kid Blog on Fridays.
Yeah.
But normally after Wednesday of 1 week, we'll just get back on our script and just work on next week's episode until we have enough, and then
basically right when we end recording for one episode, we get right into the next episode. So it's every day we're trying to find out new news about football and baseball.
It is a really authentic representation of using student choice, student voice to reach content and standards, because they are doing research all the time. Every day they're researching, getting different news sources. So they're doing their reading. They're also having to do real life writing. Having that authentic audience is what makes Kid Blog so powerful and what motivates the kids to keep writing. Then once we got back full in, they pulled Evan in because he was not in their original class. They were AM, PM. So then when they pulled in a writer, that was when they moved to a website also, and they used Google Sites.
With the website, we were first thinking, well, Kid Blog's great, but what happens when the school year's over? That's when we kind of got the idea to make the website and have everything accessible through there.
We would sometimes put sneak peeks on the
all sorts of fun stuff too.
Yeah, things that would be too long to talk about, we just put into little articles that you could read. So it's there's a writing aspect to it, but also the podcast.
I have now 5 different variations of podcasts started. Now we have a cooking channel where kids are doing videos at home of baking. I think we have a Chloe cast with a group of girls that do different topics that they talk about every couple days, and they interview people. And we also have this idea of interviewing and speaking and listening. I never imagined it was going to turn into this when we started with Kid Blog. So I guess for all of us to have that authenticity has made the difference.